To this day, I still have not heard many stories of women, or men, who, like me, managed to put up a physical fight while they were being held down by their abuser. From what I have heard so far, it seems as though most rapists typically do not use physical force to pin someone down, or put them in a headlock. The vast majority of rapists seem to take advantage of the fact that most victims freeze. This is also known as tonic immobility, that is, the reflex that causes a temporary state of paralysis in a victim of assault. I once spoke to a woman who had been raped by a guy in her circle of friends. He had crept up on her while she was lying in her bed, in the same room as him, after they had gone to a festival. He started fondling her. She froze. He then proceeded to stimulate her manually. Her body responded to this. That is to say, she became lubricated. He climbed on top of her and started penetrating her. She developed PTSD as a result of this rape. She told me she did not feel comfortable being in the same room with guys. However, unlike me, she was not particularly triggered by things that confronted her with the boundaries of her physical strength. The same thing goes for a woman I spoke to who had been coerced several times into having sex with a guy. He kept nagging her for hours and hours. He did not respect her saying no. Then, she finally gave in and let him penetrate her. Just like the woman mentioned above, she did not get triggered by anything related to physical strength. But she did experience nightmares in which her mouth was sealed shut. In these dreams, she could not speak. Nobody could hear her. Her voice simply was not there. Coercion in the form of someone begging for sex for hours on end is not entirely the same as someone taking their victim by force. Nonetheless, I have heard stories of people developing PTSD as a result of being manipulated in this way. Someone I know once told me that her boyfriend had been coerced into sex multiple times for years by his ex-girlfriend. When he was not in the mood for sex, the woman, who was his girlfriend at the time, would whine and nag until he gave in. She would also guilt trip and manipulate him in other ways. As a result of his ex-girlfriend's abuse, he became very uncomfortable with sex. My friend told me that he would occasionally start trembling or getting panic attacks when trying to have sex in the years afterwards. I found his story to be especially heartbreaking, because male victims are taken a lot less seriously, especially if the perpetrator is female.